Hi, I'm Anthony Lee Phillips. I'm a fantasy writer, and I wrote a book of poetry called Orc Lore, poetry about the gods. These poems are stories that Nala the Orc grew up with. Nala is a character in my fantasy novel MOONTHREAD, which you can find at anthonyleephillips.com. It'll take you to start, no hassle. But these are poems spoken aloud to each other around a campfire. They're as much like Little Red Riding Hood as they are like the Iliad, though. So, Orc Lore. 1. The first Warfather. Prelude. Ung-Ra's sons and Ugru's daughters, a telling I'll regale to thee, a tale of rage, an unbloomed sage who loved the first Warfather. 1. Once upon a moonful night, 100 seasons past, when giants reigned, there was a boy who loved a girl named Kite. She loved him back, and when she kissed him, Bliss became his name. His name was lost to time, so this is what we'll call him till his change. They kissed each other underneath the oak. They kissed each other under willow vines. They kissed each other when the giants came. He kissed her corpse, tears greased by all the smoke. So Bliss became a hollow thing. No longer could he love or sing. He dreamt of Kite's hand in his hair. And when he woke, he wept and screamed. 2. For 3 moons, Bliss went drifting, moorless, formless, aimless, ape-like in a stupor, wouldn't eat, would barely drink unless the stuff was strong as giant's poison. Never slept if he could help it. One dawn, bleary as Bliss was from 3 whole nights awake, the sun came up and took a speaking shape. "Still up, I see," the sun said, smirking down. "Smarmy sun," Bliss raged. "Too bright, and yet, what difference does it make? Dawn's glare is dark as tar without Kite in this world with me." 3. The sun heard Bliss and grew to pity him. "I wish that I could know a love like that." Bliss only said, "The only thing I wish is vengeance, or that you could bring her back." He could, and so he did. 5. The first giant had a name we still remember. He was called the CLAYCLIFF. He was a giant made of chalky stone, with eyes like sand and blood like bone. CLAYCLIFF, it was the size of many huts, as wide as the barrow at Guthrie, tall as 2 stacked towers. Bliss tried sneaking, thinking that an empty moon might help. But he was clumsy, and a mountain has no need for ears or eyes. "I felt you coming," CLAYCLIFF rumbled. Then he tossed Bliss off his back. This was Bliss's first ever fight, and now it seemed like it would be his last. But then, like the sun, the well within him burned until his grief and his despair became a geyser of great rage. 6. It isn't known how bliss killed CLAYCLIFF, for none were there to see. But if you go to Misty Bluff at night, the stones still seem to bleed. The boy called Bliss became a man named Nothing, and all he was rage. That's all he was. He killed CLAYCLIFF, then 7 more, and kept on killing and kept on killing and kept on till his name became Warfather. He was the first. Some giants still say that he was the worst. He killed and walked and killed and rode and spilled the strange blood of each giant that he met, if you could call it meeting. The strong, the old, the bold, the young. 7. One night, late in his life, all grizzled, scarred, long after even dreams were angry scenes, the sun came up and took a speaking shape. Still up, I see. Warfather bowed. Hello. Whose blood will be your wish today, great son? No blood today. No blood tonight? No need. I came to ask if you've forgotten her? Warfather frowned, eyes hard as heated steel. Who? The son scowled sadly. So it's true. 8. Ung-Ra, the one that was the sun, returned to where the flowers grew like fingers through the tall grass's hair. The one that was the moon, Ugru, was there too, waiting, watching, there to hear the sun's soft words touch air. If you came back, there'd be a chance for him to see your face, and then well, perhaps. I dislike gambling. I remember him. All tears and every other sight was kite or kiss. You know, it's hard to kiss the sun, or so I hear. The moon smiled, spying sly, unseen, falling like a burning beam. She watched him do a brand new thing. She watched him raise the dead. 9. He brought her back. But when he did, Kite's mind was long years rotted. He got the corpse to flinch and even writhe, but even little gods have firsts sometimes. On his way away, the sun bent down. He kissed the flowers in the ditch. They streaked with orange and red like sundrops in a sea of green. Long years passed till once upon a moonful night, Warfather saw a place he'd been but didn't know. The ditch that ran through village ruins looked just like a giant's grave ditch. Only, this one, lilies abounded, sun-kissed, out of season. Pretty, he admitted, even if they are just ditch lilies. And then he wept. He wept and knew not why. He wept beneath a ruined oak. He wept beneath a willow's slime. And when he wept, he went to sleep. He knows not who he sleeps beside. The circle turns, the circle turns, the circle turns again. Poem 2, Mother Death, or The Little Wraithling. This one's fun. You learn a little bit about Nala's deity, so to speak, in this one. Prelude. When names were new, and orcs were too, a little girl was walking through the woods alone, not far from home. The empty moon was watching. 1. Mosquitoes buzzed like blood-drunk fuzz, a cloud around the torch's light. The little girl skipped, glib, unworried, giggling like a sprite. Her name was Lana, eldest child, hasty, black hair, wild and kind. But young, so young, she held her torch behind and let the buzzing bugs survive. The night was full of bats. She asked them, "Will you be my friend?" No answer. The woods were thick with mist. She asked it, "Will you be my friend?" No answer. The empty moon was watching. 2. Though Lana wasn't far at all from home, she drifted ever deeper into mist. The trail sloped steeply till the pines and oaks grew tall enough to hide, and hide they did. The mud beneath her boots stopped squelching as the clay became moist loam. The torch's light was fog-drunk, weakening until it seemed like some dim, wet-wicked candle. Feeble aura in the fog. Through that fog, the empty moon was watching. 3. A tiger's cub she came upon. The cub was limping on a bloody paw. "What happened?" Lana asked. "Are you all right?" The cub's ears folded back, and it prepared to pounce. So Lana stopped and blinked real big and put her doused torch down. That's when she asked, "Will you be my friend?" Through mist, the empty moon was moved by this, and bade the hurt cub Let me retry that. "Will you be my friend?" Through mist, the empty moon was moved by this, and bade the hurt cub cautiously approach. It sniffed the girl. She let it, even though her heart was racing. Then, cub gave a blink, and then a bump. They became best friends. 4. "What is your name?" she asked the tiger cub. It sulked beside her, pretending it couldn't speak. "Well, I don't blame you," Lana said. "Poor cub. Where is your mama?" At this, cub got up and limped, slow, leading her on up into the deepest part of the wood. The go was slow, on, ever deeper, past a creek, beyond a giant's barrow mound. The canopy was thick enough that stars could not pierce even weakly through. There was a glade where hanging vines hugged ferns and brambles. Lana pulled on one, but it was not a vine. A viper lashed and bit poor Lana's finger as she passed. 5. "Don't hurt it," Lana cried. Her finger bled. She clutched it, poison seeping swiftly in. Her plea was out too late, though. Cub bit down. The viper died, still stuck in Lana's hand. The cub spat out the sour-tasting snake, but what was done the cub could not undo. "You killed it," Lana said. Voice wilted as she looked upon the thing that poisoned her. Cub avoided her gaze. A lucky thing. 2 eyes were flashing, deep within the vines. Lana said, "Hello?" Her little voice was wavering as the poison set in. The cub locked eyes with what was there as if to ask, "Mama?" Its reply was just a growl. A sound that made the girl feel hollow. Then it pounced, a tiger, huge with different stripes and color than Cub's was. It went for Cub, bloody mouth roaring, and Lana jumped in front of Cub and took the beast's great bite. 6. "Run," Lana tried to say. No sound, but Cub could understand and fled, still limping. The tiger dropped the girl when it was done and almost followed Cub, but either tired or satisfied. The hulking tiger chose to saunter off behind some bush. He went to sleep, licking his crimson chops. Cub, still limping, ran and ran and ran. He found himself up in a high place, just above the mist. The stars were out. The empty moon was watching. "Please," the cub begged skyward. Help her, moon. If you're there, if you're watching, she did not deserve to die." The empty moon blinked down at him. 7. The tiger did not wake in time to see the moon descend and take a speaking shape. Her skin was made of sinking shadow, and her eyes were deep as coursing voids. Where she stepped, flowers drooped, grass died, ferns stooped, and silt became sand beneath her naked foot. The goddess pet the tiger, A thrill ran through its dream the moment that it died. She stepped toward Lana's corpse, which Lana's ghost used like a chair. The little wraith sat, elbows to knees, palms holding up her wisp of a chin. So young, her tusks had not come in yet. 8. "Hello," said the little wraith. "Will you be my friend?" The goddess bent down, and as she did, she became a giant. One of her eyes was large enough to be a portal, a door. "Ooh," the goddess groaned. "What means this, friend? Is this some kind of name?" Lana shrugged and said, "I guess so, kinda. Have you come to take me away?" Mother Death thought hard on this. No, not yet. Whoa. 9. Then Mother Death did something new. She draped a swath of emptiness across Lana's spirit's shoulders. "Ride the night, my little Wraithling, but be careful when you name a killer friend. The old name is still there." Lana's spirit felt the shadow push her ghost back into her. The shadows congealed into a gleaming salve and healed her wounds. Not just good as new, no, better. But as the little girl came back to life, she could no longer see the little god. The only trace was humming in the earth and singing whisper-like upon the canopy. The empty moon is watching. The circle turns. The circle turns. The circle turns again. 3. The Festermoon prophecy, or the sage at the end of days. And just a quick note that I write all my poems in 9 parts, and that's like the number of completion. And prophecies always end at 5. They're not finished yet. They end halfway through at the question of whatever the prophecy is, whatever the story is. It all prophecies end at 5. That's what makes it a prophecy in my world. So 3, the Festermoon prophecy. Prelude. To tell you of beginnings, you must first be shown the end. One. Red. No clouds. Sun got bigger. Each bride the sun takes gets renamed Death, and there you are, the sage at the end of days. Heel of a hell coin. 2. The roots of all your myriad desires thirst to death. No more leakage. Rage is now become your skin, your breath. Would that you had less wisdom. Maybe then the taste of joy would wander back. Instead, the sour truth of it makes your eyes water, or would. But no more tears. None left. Too dry. Red. No clouds. Sun gets bigger. 3. It is the end of days. Come dawn, struck dead. The last living human. Gone. You cannot look away. You try and try. But he who wields the blade that drinks is watching, so you're watching. 4. Fate is not a string. More like a coin entangled. A coin with 2 faces, no heel. Merge and sever. Ripples and reflections. summer sun and Festermoon. Fate's a fixed thing, but sometimes the thing that's fixed is still a question. 5. When dawn scorches the slopes, when he asks, forgive me, and you see he means it, will you? No more words. Choose your weapon. No more words. Fate's a question, no more words. The circle turns, the circle turns, the circle turns again, and then you... And then I have Paka's note here. So the person who compiled this in the world. Blue-skinned orc, Nala's friend. This is how the prophecy ends. If it seems abrupt in this form, let me tell you, a telling of Festermoon, intense. Nala Dogmore showed it to me once, and it is impossible to overstate the terror I felt. Let's get back to the poetry. 4, poem 4. Before, 9 little gods. Before there were 3 gods. Those gods begat 3 little gods each, but then those parent gods disappeared. Anger is courage, is ignorance too. To blush is to care, is to crave. And fear is to know and to understand why we do the things we do. Anger made 3 little gods. Ugru, the moon. Ung-Ra, the sun. And Misos, youngest, lightning, fierce. Blush begat 3 little gods. Enchantress meets with... Blush begat 3 little gods, Enchantress, Meadsmith, wife, Mah-Yariel, the Naga god, gone the way of the Naga, and Meeyu, planting stars, the queen of dreams. Fear became 3 little gods, icy Ibru, scholar, strategist, the god of yestereves and tomorrows, and Ezgu, the winged one. He who wields his wits. But then those parent gods disappeared, and 9 little gods were left alone to learn to turn the circle on their own. Behind the prayers. This is an author's note. This is just a little thing on how I wrote these poems. These particular poems, the prayers, began as a poetry experiment. I was watching a lot of Dr. Jackson Crawford, Old Norse specialist, and maybe my favorite translator of mythic poems. He has a few videos where he breaks down the courtly skaldic form, drotkvat. I decided to write some of these myself. At first, I started writing these thinking that they would be story poems, but it didn't take long to see that this form produced wildly different results, and that's true. Wildly different results than Shakespeare's verse or Homeric verse or Dante's verse. It was just very different because the, going off the cuff here now, the form of drotkvat has a lot to do with alliteration. So what word the line ends on and what word the line begins with, they have to alliterate in some way, and the rules are different for odd and even lines. And this created more of like a word salad effect than what I was used to with Shakespeare or with Homer, where you have a lot of syllables to make it sound like human speech. That's the tool of it. But this sounded like an older, stilted, almost word salad-y kind of poem in English. And so I decided to take that and say, all right, well, these aren't story poems then. These are prayers that people will say to the gods. And so like when I run a D&D campaign or I don't know, draw steel, or, you know, when I run an RPG campaign with in my world, then I'll be able to hand people the prayers and say, all right, well, in order to make this potion, you have to pray out loud to Mah-Yariel, the spore goddess. You're a Sporelokk, and so now you have to say this poem out loud. And it's that kind of thing, where the prayers are actually prayers. And yeah, so that's behind that. Let's get back into the poetry, back into the fiction. Poem 5, Old Prayer for Misos. Sky, despair, scornful, viscous torrent, vicious, lightning-cleaving night from nothing, bright behemoth. Minds are made to bend to, steer to feast on fear from. Chill rain, doomed the lich still chases sacrifices. Misos is the god of lightning, binding souls to objects, manipulation like mind control, justice, judgment, scales, debts, resentment, and the feeling of control. So all the gods are tied to certain emotions. They're emotion gods. And so the emotion with Misos is like when you want to feel control over something, when you just have to focus on something until you can control it. That kind of anger, that flavor of anger, when you feel that, Misos gives you lightning magic if you're an orc. And if he likes you. Taboos of Misos: unfairness, losing the feeling of control, and injustice. I like to think of the inner stat of this god as focus. The superpower of this coping mechanism, the type 1, is focus. Focus, and then anger and control are sort of the weak points of this god and its mages. Poem 6. Old Prayer for Mah-Yariel. Find her in the fen's grove. Feel her in the meal's spore after you've forgotten or got caught exploring. Cauldron mother's drunk on jinxes, hexes, thinks she's thirsty, says, I'll curse him. Worst thing? He'll be sorry. Mah-Yariel is the goddess of potions, of spores, of algae, of chemistry, love potions, smoke bombs, miasma in a bottle. She's your girl. Also, jinxes, hexes, curses, and the sisters of these things, lucky, talented, and blessed. The taboos of Mah-Yariel are loneliness and being unwanted or feeling that way, at least. If you do magic that comes from Mah-Yariel, you are a Sporelokk. I always kind of loved that. Poem 7. This is kind of a different one. Not for 100 harvests hew the Naga's reign from rumors where myths used to be. Now it's less like history, more like a riddle. What happened here? Written, we don't have much. Mostly beaten sea runes, centuries dispensed with evidence that they were even here at all, but the same year that the lich rose, all the waters started rising, every ocean, and all first-hand records of the Naga stop. They all stop. What happened? None can say, for none were there to live to tell it. Or, if someone does, they hide the truth for reasons none of us can know. But we know this much. The lich had something to do with the genocide of the Naga. The Naga's stories have gone the way of the Naga. Poem 8. Old Prayer for Meeyu. Oh, sorry. Ripples and reflections, acting without practice, prescient impulse, shapeless, sharp flat, ape, orc, harp, flute, dreaming, roaming, but alone it really doesn't feel good. Falling, drift right off me, fear finds friends in tearfall. Meeyu is the goddess of stars and mirrors. She's the goddess of illusions, which is useful for all kinds of things in a party context. Illusions for entertainment, like you see in MOONTHREAD. Illusions for espionage, or seduction, or dream terrorism, which you see a little bit in book 2 or 3. I haven't figured out which yet. Meeyu is also the goddess of poetry, music, and inspiration. She rewards mortals like her, mortals who value inner strength. Psyching myself out. She rewards mortals like her, mortals who value inner truth and emotional honesty. Meeyu lends divine knowledge to those that come to know themselves. Meeyu's taboos are lying, cliches, and conformity. Poem 9. Old Prayer for Ibru. Wintertime means splinters, plantless, living scant. Long, mints gone dormant. Dither? Don't. Learning earns a furnace-esque endorsement. Poor or well spent? Your choice. Yonder yell the fell fool's door side. Fears my fortress. Ibru is an important god in the world, actually. He's the god that gave mortals language. Ibru is god of ice, knowledge, preparation, of language. He's the god of strategy. He's also the god of the freeze response, understanding, aversion. It's not the knowing Ibru rewards followers for, but the learning. Ibru also made the giants. Ibru's taboos are hastiness, stupidity, and not acting logically. Poem 10. Old prayer for Rowan's god. Dust. The type of touch that chafes. Once it felt safety. To be close is too close. Touching skin? Begin to. Ignorance is joy's house. Here's my sacrifice. I give you all my ease and drink the well of worry. Go through life, not mine, but your life. Yellow moments, shell-like, shedding in the Dell stream, dying, letting go till it's just echoes. Rowan's god is god of dust, god of time, the god of yester eves and tomorrows. Because remember, unlike humans, orcs and goblins and giants are nocturnal, preferring to move under Mother Moon's eye. Rowan's god is the god of knowing, the god of safety, meaning trust and distrust, the god of worst-case scenarios. She's kind of the god of preppers, the god of anxiety, the god of the kind of fear that makes you rethink whose tent is furthest from the fire, the god of survivors, the god of doubts. That god's taboos are ignorance, and yet one of their mantras is ignorance is happiness. I mean, right there in the poem, ignorance is joy's house. Poem 11. Old prayer for Ezgu. Gold brew, poet molder folds of honey holding history and stories. Stroke me with your stirring wingtails, dipping inkwell, thinking longhand. Songbirds say it's not so scary. All the bats agree. What, sacrifice? Unnecessary. Grin into the wind. Ezgu is the god of fun, honestly. I should write that down. Ezgu is the god of winds, wings, innovation, god of engineering and puzzles, and dodging pain, wit, not wet, wit. Air, abandonment, flight response, the god of the flight response, oh God, I gotta get out of here, this is way too stressful. That kind of thing, that's Ezgu. Ezgu's taboos are boredom, complacency, imprisonment, and restrictions. Ezgu's taboo also includes pain, both emotional and physical pain. Ezgu doesn't like pain. I mean, no one likes pain, but it's like a particular aversion to physical discomfort. Poem 12. Old prayer for Ung-Ra. Here's where it gets fun. Because Ung-Ra and Ugru are both in MOONTHREAD. Bountiful this bone song. Sinners speak through weakness. Wide mouths screaming. Scramble. Fumble. Death becomes you. Cumbersome this bone song. Burning waves. Enbrave me, brother bliss. Another mother's borrowed sorrow. Ung-Ra is the god of sun, bones, war. The god of blood drinkers. The god of vengeance. The god of conquest. Justice on my own terms, that god. The god of rebellion, the god of protection. And he's just got one taboo, and that's weakness. Poem 9, and my favorite, Old Prayer for Ugru. Meek as shadow's shelter, shifting under sun, expansive when moon's empty. Sympathetic pets sit, loyal by the poet. Put the empty moon on. Mourn and merge, the urge is underneath. Silt, sand, clay. Seedling, slaking. Take root. Ugru is the goddess of moon and of shadows. The goddess of merge and sever has abilities as spells that Nala will be able to do. Merge with things, merge with people, merge with your shadow, and take on whatever ability you have to take on. If someone can breathe underwater and Nala attaches to her shadow, she merges with that person and merges with their abilities, so that Nala can breathe underwater too, is the idea. Ugru is also the goddess of empathy, of the erasure of self, and of friends. She's the little god of making friends. Ugru's taboos are creating conflict, unwanted dissonance, either musically or sonically, or socially, sonically or socially. Ugru is also the little god of put on smiles and gentle to a fault. Okay. I'm going to skip the author's note about the Sundering because I've talked a lot in this already, but if you want to know how the Sundering is made, there's a note in the book. This poem is the last poem. It's a little bit longer. It's kind of like Voluspa or the Iliad or the Odyssey or Gilgamesh or Enheduanna. The Sundering, I use different poetic forms to make different parts of the poem sound older than other parts. And the opening and the closing, it's actually a melody. I basically, instead of using a form, I made a theme, a motif, This line has this structure, this line has this structure, this line has this structure, and this line has this structure, and they're all different, and then it's repeated again at the end. So it's almost like it's creating a new form because it's such a classic poem and sort of a foundational myth. Excuse me. The Sundering is about... the Sundering is how they explain cosmically why humans don't have magic. Poem 14, The Sundering. The ceiling of Ung-Ra, all the gods, all but one, brought all their gathered art to bind he who was the sun. How easy to forget. Sun is sunk, rise with the night, forget the day before, move on. Not a way to live. The reason stories last? All the gods, all but one, attacked but couldn't seem to kill he who was the sun. 1. The orcs call Ugru mother, and burrow folk love Misos. Meeyu sang the elves to life. Ezgu gave wings to any that asked him. Each little god had a people. They could all call their own. Ibru, the giants, Mah-Yariel, the spore folk, the Nala god, the Naga. Ibru's little sister Yestermorrow made friends with those we now name goblins. But Ung-Ra, conqueror, was first to forms but last to soulcraft. This was plain to see, too. Ung-Ra desired more than anything to fall in love. His first attempts all failed, copies of the mortals, all the mortals his siblings made. But Ung-Ra never quit, was not allowed, did not allow himself to show such weakness. 8 times the 8th little god attempted to create what came to be humans. 3. Before his name was Conqueror, the sun just liked to travel. Other gods made homes. Mah-Yariel grew roots and taught the spores to speak. Ibru turned Ugru's gifts to ice, freezing her emotions, which he named words. Before the Sundering, the world was one, but it was only 9 times turning when the settling urge fell over them. Not Ung-Ra. Dawn went nearly everywhere. 4. Everywhere he went, The sun god tried his hand at humans, crossed the childish sea, deep in what's called Yegara now, everywhere the dawn touched. One day he felt lonely. So he took a speaking shape. The sun knelt down and dug the loamy clay and shaped it. Flame flesh gave it life. "Hello, I love you," said the god. "Your turn." She did not have a name. 5. Ung-Ra's finger held her. He created her to be in love with him, but she did not love him. So he raged and furied. All the gods watched, dumbfaced. "Don't kill me," she pleaded. "Worse," he roared, embarrassed. "Worse than death, I curse you." 6. "Curse you, all you children, cold as fortressed Ibru, braided burning days, then you humans, worse than death. I drink your blood of all its heart. I'm taking back each soul I gave." 7. No soul, no soul, no soul. And thus the circle turned, and thus the coin was flipped for ill or else or both or once. He could not kill her, not give her a name to die on. It said by some she lived. Perhaps. Some tales are lost to time. The gods stood, gaping, fearful, wary. "What have you just done?" said one. And then, the gods took sides. 8. The gods took sides against each other then. Sister killing sister, brothers bruised. This bickering of the gods was like a war for those below. Bloody blades. Famine reigned. Ibru was first to say, "Enough! No more! Our enemy is you, Ung-Ra. Undo your curse." "Or what?" the sun said, scoffing. Ibru said, "Undo your curse, or I say all of us shall kill you." Ung-Ra laughed. I cannot be killed." 9. Then all the gods, all but one, surrounded he who was the sun. "I cannot be killed," and it was true. So all the gods, all but one, procured a fearsome sacrifice and bound the god inside its bones, while Ugru pretended to be asleep. The empty moon was watching, and thus the sun was sundered from himself. 10. The sealing of Ung-Ra, all the gods, all but one, brought all their gathered art to bind the one that was the sun. And that's folklore.